We Presbyterians are sometimes known as God's frozen people, or else the frozen chosen. Either way, you get the sense that we Presbyterians have a reputation for being a little cool, a little stiff, a little aloof. But a careful reading of the sources of our tradition reveals something very different. Hello, I'm Stuart Baskin, pastor of First Presbyterian Church of Tyler, Texas. As you know, I am a fan of John Calvin, the leading light in the founding of our part of the Reformation. I'm all too aware that Calvin gets a bad rap from many other people, and they're not always wrong in their criticisms of him. He said a number of things we would find troubling today. But I am also aware that no historical figure comes away from a critical examination without looking a little worse for the wear. But the question is, on balance, what is Calvin's legacy? I think his legacy, warts and all, is on balance commendable. Well, forgive me for that minor detour, since what I really want to say about Calvin today regards his attitude toward music, especially music in the church. Because Calvin was a deep thinker, one can get the impression that he bequeathed us a purely thinking faith, a faith for the head, but not for the heart. But anyone who reads Calvin comes away with a very different impression. His work isn't written in the language of scholarship, but of persuasion. He can employ a sharp tongue and a keen wit. He uses visual imagery and metaphor to make important points, and even more importantly, for our purposes, he spoke frequently of the heart, or what he called the affections. In his day, the word affections didn't mean exactly the same thing it does to us today. Similar, but a little different. Affections were more than the sentimental feelings we have towards those whom we like. Affections were more like the whole range of emotions we might have, especially those emotions that draw us toward particular ideas and toward things greater than ourselves. When Calvin talks about music in regard to the faith, he prizes it as a means by which our thoughts can be connected to our emotions, our affections. Music joins heart and mind. Think about it. Think about some hymns you particularly enjoy. I bet you anything that simply hearing the music itself in the first place brings up a deep well of emotion. And then to add to that, those emotions lead you to be able to remember the language of those great hymns. And you get a sense then of what Calvin valued in music, especially in worship. It helps us to tap into something deeper than simply our intellect. It taps into our hearts and into our souls. That is a really powerful thing, and Calvin knew it. But Calvin was also relatively conservative about what was appropriate to sing. In the first place, he believed that what we sing in worship should come directly from Scripture. That's why in Geneva they developed a psalter, a songbook that contained all 150 psalms set to music. We still use some of those tunes today, such as Old Hundredth, which we sing each Sunday as the doxology. You'd expect that the tunes coming out of a psalter produced under John Calvin's watch would be dull and dreary, but they are anything but. They tend to be bouncy, almost playful tunes that you can hum. And that was the point, to marry memorable tunes to the Psalms in order to make it easy for a congregation to sing together, to make it easy to remember the words to the Psalms, and to make it easy for individuals to sing the psalms to themselves. We do that still today. Think of all of the ways we teach children to memorize things using music. Think of the ABC song. That's what John Calvin had in mind. It was a matter of using music which taps into our affections, as Calvin called them, and linking music to biblical texts. So, next time someone accuses you of being one of God's frozen people, remind them that ours is a faith that marries heart and mind together. And music is what helps us pull that off. And now may God continue to bless you and keep you in all that you do this day and in all the days ahead.